Hi, I'm Grace.
I'm Jan
Hi,
Baumgartner.
I'm Avery.
Hi,
I'm Tessa.
I'm Jan Baumgartner. I'm an adoption manager at Gateway Woods.
So the first is, what do you think we could do to make abortion less attractive and adoption easier and cheaper for people?
Adoption doesn't cost them anything. I think that one answer is educating people about what adoption is, because a lot of people have preconceived notions about adoption, like if they place their child, they'll never be able to see him again, or they won't know where they go, or so that it's a lot of scary things about it, and it's really a lot different than that, and it's because a family can choose the family that's going to adopt. Our families all have been checked out with criminal checks, background checks. We do complete, very involved home studies, visit their home and all that. So they're safe families, so that scares a lot of people. You know, that's not a safe family, so we check all that out. And then they choose a family. They look at family profiles with pictures of the family, and they choose a family. And so that's a lot better than most people think. And then they get to meet the family and decide if they want that family. If they don't want that family, they can choose another family. And some of them develop a very close relationship during the whole process, and then some of them that want open afterward can see their child afterward. So I think that's a big thing of why people are scared of adoption.
Yeah.
And what can you do? I think that, we try to do that. We go to, I've sent brochures to Planned Parenthood. I've sent brochures all over to crisis pregnancy centers, doctors' offices, those kinds of things. I think for you guys, maybe a big thing is in your schools, high schools. A lot of girls get abortions in high schools and colleges, and to just get the word out. I could help you with giving you brochures that you could distribute or whatever to let them know.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Do you think you have more kids coming in than going out? Like, are more kids coming to get adopted that don't get adopted?
No. In my program, there's a waiting list of people. We have about 15 on our waiting list waiting for a child. So we have more families than we have babies. Some people apply to multiple agencies, but no, there's never a shortage of families. The only issues is maybe if a baby is born with real special needs, then we have to find the right family for that baby, and not every family is able to raise a special needs child. But usually we find a family, even for Down syndrome babies and all kinds of special need babies, and moms on drugs. We found families for, I think, we've never had a child we haven't found a family for.
That's great.
I think that's something people need to know, because they think, if I put my child up for adoption, no one will, bring it into their home. But that's good to know that there is never a shortage of families, more of a shortage of kids, because those families want those children.
Yes, yes. They, in foster care, it's a little different because they're older kids, and it takes a special family, and sometimes that's more difficult. But for our purposes, in fact, for Down syndrome, there's a whole waiting list of families wanting to adopt a Down syndrome, and I've heard that about 90% of people abort the baby if they're having a Down syndrome. That's really sad because you have so many families waiting to adopt.
What do you think we can do to change the public's opinion about adoption?
I think, it's getting the word out, like I said, through all these different sources, but I think it's also just contact with people all the time, everyday people, because, it's not, all kinds of people have abortions, and I even had some real Christian girls that said, when they got in that situation, they didn't believe in abortion, but it was really hard. And I think a big thing that you guys can do is if someone chooses adoption, it's very common for the peers to really cut them down and tell them they're doing this awful mean thing. And that's the biggest problem I have with my high school girls, is their friends are so nasty to them about it. And so just giving someone that's making this decision lots of support and be positive about it. And I've had some people like we've given presentations like to some classes, like home ec classes or child development classes or something like that. I think that's an area you guys could help.
Yeah. Also, like, how much is the average adoption cost?
Okay, it doesn't cost, the person that's placing, it doesn't cost her anything.
Yes.
And we can even help with her living costs. Help with, it's in Indiana, you can spend up to $3,000 to help her pay rent, utilities, those kinds of food, clothing, any things that she needs, up to $3,000. But you're talking about the adoptive family?
Like the adoptive family, when they
Okay.
want the child, how much is it?
There's a big variation depending on what agency, and if you're adopting domestically or internationally. I'd say the most reasonable ones are probably with our agency. We're very reasonable, is about $10,000, and that includes the legal fees, everything, except for living costs for the mom. Those are extra. But I've seen them run up to $40,000.
What would you change about adoption?
What would I change?
Is there anything you would?
One thing I would change, if I could, was that some agencies make it so expensive, and I think I would change it so it's more, some of the bigger agencies really charge a lot and make a lot of money, and I just don't believe in that. I don't believe in paying a birth mom too much money, because I think it almost gets into baby buying, buying a baby. So I would wish that some agencies would charge less for adoptive parents. Hospitals, some of the hospitals could be more adoption friendly. There's some that are really good, but some of them try and almost talk her out of it, of placing, if she's decided to place, and instead of being real compassionate with her and understanding.
So out of the biologic parents that you have met with or talked to or have come in, what is the strongest emotion you've seen from them?
Grief.
Yeah.
I would say grief, yeah. A lot of them, once they have the baby, it's really hard to actually place it, even though they often tell me they know in their heart it's the best thing, but it's hard to do. I think God made that natural bonding, and so it is difficult.
Yeah.
But we do provide counseling to them, and I take them to counselors, and we get help for them to help them work through that.
So then is it normal for has anyone ever backed out because they just really don't want to do it?
Oh yes, about a third to a half of birth moms back out.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Mm-hmm. And some of them after they've had the baby, which can be difficult. Like I had a family that held the baby for 2 days in the hospital, and then she decided to keep the baby, so it was really difficult. So some people think, adoption job is very fun and easy, and it is rewarding, but it can be hard too. I see the grief that the birth moms go through. I see the grief that the adoptive families go through if she changes her mind, and so it's hard.
What is the most popular age group to get adopted?
Probably domestically, newborns. Internationally, I would say infants are the most popular, even though more and more people are adopting older kids internationally. I've been in the adoption program since 2001, and we used to just do internationally and domestically. People would want them as young as they can get, And lately, in the last couple years, we've seen a lot more people adopt older kids. On foster care, I think that's true too. The older kids domestically usually come through foster care, and I don't deal with them. But there's more foster parents adopting, and we've had quite a few families adopt kids up to 12 years of age internationally.
That's fantastic.
Yes, it's great.
That's good. So, when the biological parents or the adoptive parents come in, either one, what is one of the first things they ask you, or one of their first worries that they bring to you?
I think for the birth parents, it is that worry that their baby's going to be taken and they won't know where it goes, they won't know who it goes to, and that's scary for them. So they're excited when they find out they can choose a family, meet a family, get to know a family, and all that. I think that the adoptive parents, what's one of their first questions? They're just, I think just starting the whole process is kind of scary for them. Some have talked about it for years, and then when they take that first step forward, it's just like, wow, we're really doing this, we're committing to it, and that's kind of scary for them.
Yeah. So we get asked a lot at school when I gave my speech about this, and as we started into this project, we were asked, well, what does a 13-year-old or 12-year-old girl do when she's pregnant? And her body's not ready to have that child, what does she do? And that's a really hard question to answer because we aren't for abortion. We strongly encourage people to give their children life and to then put them up for adoption and bless that family with their child. But that girl's not ready to have a child, so what would you say to someone like that?
I think we've had girls that young. There are more risks. But one thing we do is make sure they get excellent medical care, and we work with them on getting them on Medicaid, or the family will pay for it, so they get good prenatal care, go to see a good doctor, and that really helps. Sometimes they deliver a little early, so the doctor's aware of that. So I think that's a real key for them in getting the best medical care they can get to help them.
Another one of our things is with our campaign, it's really not attracting the guys. They're very like, this is stupid, this is not a campaign, what is this, why are you doing this? So do you have any ideas of how we could draw the boys in and make them feel like this is something they'd want to help support? And they're not all Christian guys. So
in adoption, a lot of the fathers of the babies fly the coop. Most of them do. They find out she's pregnant and they're like long gone. And so, that's just sort of their attitude about it. But I think that they need to think about, all these babies being born or aborted that are human life, and a mother, naturally, a woman she's giving birth and she is nurturing this baby, but the males are also important and they're involved, like you said, in the sexual end of it. And so we have a real problem with males taking responsibilities for all this, and they need to know that this is a human life, and it's not just a woman thing and a female thing.
yeah, and it's not just her responsibility, but it's yours too.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for meeting with us, and you answered all of our questions.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
good.
And I think we have some good things that we can take from this and, make more videos and start getting more stuff out there. So,
Good,
yeah.
great. I'm excited that you're going to do that.
yes, thank
Very
you so
excited.
much for meeting us.